In this world of contradictions, it's hard to tell the real from the fiction. The crowd surrounds and tampers with our fear. I grab my heart because I sense the evil one is near. See, because to them, I'm just a terrorist. And I say, fool, you need a therapist because my religion teaches peace, not to produce deceased. See, you're so religious, but where is your belief? If only you've actually read the Quran and Hadiths. But no, your mind will stay blind, so I guess the ignorance will never cease. I say. See, is this the American way? We're encouraged to drink, but not encouraged to pray. Prohibited things I see a lot. We throw money on objects and not on zakat. And please, sisters, please make your clothes breezy, because I was taught to lower my gaze, and you are not making this easy. No offense, just being honest. I'm trying to follow my deen, and I'm trying my hardest, but for some, this isn't good enough. Talking heads with dresses and beards stab at my wrongs, but they can't distinguish between culture and religion, so the credibility is gone. See, I have my own mind. Yes, twisted and skewed, but please don't pass judgment on me, because I don't pass it on you. For Allah is my judge, and He will judge me on my last day. So until then, I bypass the madness and I'll pray.
Do you believe that the Islam practiced today is the same Islam brought by Prophet Muhammad? Peace and blessings be upon him.
I think it's different.
It differs from country to country or from culture to culture, because unfortunately in most Muslim countries people have confused religion and culture.
Islam today is just today right now is just a little bit different than it used to be a couple of centuries ago. Like, people don't follow the sunnahs as the sahabas and the other prophets used to back in the time. But it's just a little bit different, but hopefully it gets back to its original ways that it should be and it used to be.
How do you see American Muslims and converts to Islam? Is there sufficient training available for converts and acceptance into the Muslim society?
I don't really see any difference, because you can be raised a certain way, but at the end of the day you're going to go back to the religion you're meant to be in. So I don't really see any difference between people, converts versus people who are already born in the religion. It's all the same. Like, you're Muslim. And as far as training, there's the beauty of the internet nowadays is you can go to different websites. I know there's certain websites that has the whole Quran translated.
The few converts that I know in this school, like, we still include them in our group and we still hang out with them. Training wise, I mean, it depends. If you're in Houston or in Dallas, those are big cities with a lot of mosques, and anyone can just go in there and ask questions to the imam about Islam and traditions, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. They ask people going to the masjid about, like, what's right, what's wrong. I think the best thing is to the primary source, which is the Quran. Always go back to the Quran and look at everything.
I personally admire converts and I can relate to them, because before I came to the US, I was kind of confused as well about culture in Islam. But as I came here, I met a wonderful young lady, a Mexican, who converted to Islam, and she taught me many things that I did not know about my own faith. So I have a huge amount of respect for them. I do think it's important to give them some lessons and train them from genuine brothers and sisters, not to take advantage of them, because we need to learn from them. Most of the people who were the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, were revert to Islam. So we need to respect them, and it takes time to learn.
And so converts, I mean, if it's a convert in a group of Muslims, and the Muslims are mostly Arab or mostly Pakistani, he might not feel as connected, they might not accept him as much, because it's more of a cultural thing. But again, it shouldn't be like that. All Muslims should come together as one big community, as one big group, but there are always these little groups in the middle. And this is the same in colleges and masjids and in schools. I mean, the religion does bind us, but then again, it's also the culture.
How do you see the American society affecting young Muslims?
It affects everyone in a negative way. It's not just Muslims. Music, and not just music, but like the type of music that's out now, and TV, media, all these different things have, in my opinion, a negative impact.
kind of a blend, especially for teenagers, because they're a blend of influences. Not only comes from their parents, you know, the cultural background and Islam, and now you have in high schools and everywhere else on TV, you see all these different culture, which is quite opposite to what their parents have been teaching them. So I do think that some of them have some identity crisis, and they're still finding out who they truly are. But overall, I think their parents are doing a good job, because there are still some hijabis who wear their hijab, and and brothers who participate to the Lone Star Council, you know, mashallah.
Okay, are you familiar with the 28th hadith? Talking about any new innovation to religion is going astray from the religion. So how is it that we have these different groups like Sunni, Shiite, Suraf, all these different kind of types, when there's only any new thing is supposed to be going away from the religion?
I mean, in my personal viewpoint, a Muslim is someone who believes in Allah, believes that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last messenger, and it follows the 5 pillars of Islam. If someone does all of those things, then I would consider them Muslim. Everything else might be just gray areas or other things, but those are the most important things. They read the Quran, they believe in Allah, believe that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last messenger, and the 5 pillars of Islam.
We sometimes try to do more or less than what the messenger, peace be upon him, used to teach us, because there are ayats in the Quran in chapter 4, Surah An-Nisa, that enjoin mankind or the believers, Muslims, to go back to the messenger and God, to Allah and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we have a conflict or we don't agree on something, let's go back to the Sunnah, let's go back to the sources. But people in general have their own views. They think that no, it's not enough, I need to come up with something, and usually it goes from a genuine intention, but we have to play by the rules. You know, for example, if the professor tells you to study chapter 8 to 10 and you go and do chapter 11 and 12, really it's not what he asked you to do, right? And you're not going to get credit for it. So let's go back to the sources.
Are the 5 pillars of Islam difficult to follow? If so, which is the most difficult for you?
I'm not going to say all 5 pillars are difficult to follow, but if I were to choose one, I would say definitely praying on time is one of the pillars of Islam, which are kind of difficult to follow.
I'm involved in a lot of organizations and things like that, so it gets challenging at a time, but that's where a planner comes in. So it's doable. I mean, it really comes down to what you're willing to do. Because I know a lot of Muslims who don't pray, but you know, it's all on them at the end of the day. Like, that's the beauty of this religion. It's all about how much you're willing to put in.
Yeah, of course. I mean, of course, it's difficult to make time to pray, especially if you have classes, if you're doing experiments in the lab, if you work. But we should always make time for it. I mean, that's the reason why we have prayers, is to remind us 5 times a day remind us of Allah. You know, I mean, some people only pray once a week or once before they go to sleep. We're supposed to pray 5 times a day, so we keep being reminded of being Muslim, what we should do, what we shouldn't do.
If you read the history and if you read the historical books of the older times, you can see that people back then, follow Islam with a great passion, with the great passion in their heart. They really love their religion. But today, some people think that it's just a burden imposed on them, which it's not a good philosophy or thinking or thought. But there's definitely a difference, which is not a good thing. But hopefully, if people pay attention on their families and pay attention on themselves, then inshallah Islam will come back up, inshallah, and people will feel proud and feel passionate about Islam again.